Hello, all. Welcome to study 32 of the Solving Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. It was time to bring you one study from a female chess composer. In this case, Judit Polgar. I think you know her. She is the youngest of the three famous Polgar sisters. She also was a very strong player. She reached top 10, and if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not, she beat Kasparov, she beat Karpov, and many other top players. So very interesting to follow. And she also produced some chess studies. This one I consider a challenge, a bit hard, but nevertheless very instructive. I think this is probably the kind of studies the sisters solved when they were young. They were always solving a lot of studies. So I believe this is the perfect example of some study that can really improve us. Again, if you haven't watched the guide video, if you have, you can advance and go to the countdown, and I see you after the countdown, of course, with the solution. And here we are for the solution, and the best move is knight c1. This is not easy to understand. I will explain it in a while. Let's just see, for example, what happens if we don't care about our knight, like, for example, playing here. Well, this is not going to work because now simply black can take the pawn. We can't go with the king to c5. It's a stalemate, so the king can't move, so there's no way to avoid the stalemate. And if it goes over here, well, we can simply take the pawn, and of course, this is a draw. I think there's no doubts about it. So we need to move the knight. Let's see first what happens if we check. Well, the king takes the pawn. Now the threat is going to bring the king to attack the other pawn. So, for example, white can try to delay it the most, but of course, black can advance now the a pawn, and white can't just ignore it. Needs to bring the knight to block the pawn, and when that happens, black will threaten to reach again through b2. As we can see, our king is very far away. It needs to come back so it can help the pawn for a potential promotion of this pawn. And of course, this will happen, but in the end, we are going to play queen versus queen and the pawn, and this is a draw, not easy for white. So white for sure doesn't want to come to this scenario. The other way is to go to a1. The idea is to block the pawn directly and then worry about the other pieces, but the king simply takes the pawn and will go after the other. And as you can see, black is the only one having chances to win, and just the knight can't do it, so it's a draw again. uh, okay, so this leaves us with the possibility of knight d2 or knight c1. And I think I have talked about this in a previous study. I don't remember which one. I don't think I have included this in the guide. Maybe I should. Sometimes to solve the studies, we need to think a bit ahead, like where would I ideally have my knight to win this, for example. Okay, and as you can see, the best is to have the knight on a2, because with that we have kind of fortress that the black king can't penetrate. So mm, with that in mind, of course, the ideal is to go to c1 to reach a2. This is the basic idea to discover the best solution. Of course, black will try to counter all possibilities. Like, for example, here black won't take the pawn because this would, for example, allow us to really keep the king away. Then it's just a matter of bringing the king, taking the pawns, or supporting our pawn to promote, and it's game over. This is an easy win for white. Of course, when the knight plays c1, well, the king goes directly to b4. It hasn't time to take the pawn and then come back. So this is what we need to consider. Now we go to c2, but the king has a3. Okay, so this is basically how I work to find the best solution. The other one, knight d2, also interesting if the idea is to go to b1 and then in b1 create this fortress. But what is the problem over here? Yes, it's the a pawn that it's free to promote, and with the benefit of when reaching a2, it will be attacking the knight, so making it far harder. And as you can see here, black can take the pawn and then bring the king and force the advancing of the pawn. Notice that the pawn is threatening a2 and it's over. So we need to sacrifice our knight now. There is no way. If we try to advance the pawn, also draw, because when the knight takes, we simply take back the other pawn. And if the knight sacrifice, of course, we take the knight, and there will be no time for white to explore this, because, as you must know, at this level, I think the pawn in a2 and the king, it's a draw against the queen when the king is far away, which is the current scenario. So with knight d2, we are not able to win Okay, so let's come back a bit and go with knight c1, which is the right plan. So the idea going to a2. Of course, here black won't make the mistake of taking the pawn, because I think I have told you already, this just creates this barrier, and now we can work with the king to help our pawn to promote, grabbing other pawns and so on. So we have all the free time in the world with this line. So the best move is king b4. We go with the same idea. So we are checking the king, and now the king can come to attack our knight. Okay, this is basically the first deep analysis we need to consider. And of course, what we are expecting over here, we are playing also to a potential pawn end game, which will happen. So we are considering in sacrificing our knight in the best scenario possible. So here we have kept our a5 pawn, which is very important. So the idea can be also to take the a6 pawn and then promote the a pawn. We have kept the c2 pawn. So here we need to think and calculate. Of course, going back doesn't improve nothing, because the king will just come. I need to move, one pawn will fall down, and then I need to work against the a pawn. I want to be able to sacrifice. So here the best move is to play knight c3, and knight c3, and of course now it's black to play, and already needs to be careful, because as I told you, the king is very near to the a6 pawn, and if I go like wrong moves like this one, well, I simply can take the pawn. I am still having 2 pawns, and over here, well, we simply can play moves like c5, and then protect the pawn with b7, bring our king, get this pawn, and then work to win it. I don't know if I have the line over here. I just show you. Check with the king attacks pawn, but now I protect. Now, of course, the king wants to reach, but the white king will grab the remaining pawn. Now it's just a matter of technique, but we have enough space to maneuver. Here, the king can't take the knight, because if it takes the knight, I simply guarantee the promotion to the queen. So all this is very technical. Probably I am showing a bit too fast, but if you want, you can go and pause and think a little better. But the idea is to learn also how to think better. Here, this is a possible way. So offering the sacrifice of the knight, which of course black won't take. And now we are threatening to advance and then guaranteeing the promotion. So the king needs to come near the pawn, but as you can see, the knight is in a perfect position to stop that idea from black, and so it's impossible to stop the pawn. Okay, and as you can see, this is a win. Okay, this was if the king comes to b2, not possible. Of course, the best defense for black is, of course, king b4. Now we are attacking the knight, so the knight basically needs to move, goes back. We are creating this barrier to the black side. Of course, the king shouldn't take in a5. This is basic, I think, because now we can control the king not moving away. And of course, if the pawn advance, I can take it. Like, for example, if it now tries to come, and then with the idea, well, we simply can protect our pawn, and the promotion will be guaranteed. Here we sacrifice, and then it's an easy win. So over here, we don't want to make mistakes also with the defense. And the best move is, of course, advancing the pawn. So the idea, we are forcing white to reply. There is no big deal over here. We need to sacrifice. And now it's white to play. If you haven't reached here, my suggestion is pause the video, work the calculation from here. Because I know this is like 2 studies in just one. And that's why Judit Polgar is one special player. Uh, this is an end game of pounds only. We start with a study, but now we are in a pound end games. Not an easy one. We need to be precise. We need to understand many techniques to overcome this one. So here, basically, black is on a long distance diagonal opposition when we have an even number of squares between the two kings in the same line. And so it's white to play. And there's only one good move. And that's why I told many times this is a two phases puzzle, a two phases study. Going over here is a mistake because black just guarantees the opposition again, diagonal opposition in this situation, and white can't make progress with success. Like, for example, offering to sacrifice the pawn, which is the best move for black. That's why this is hard. We can't take the pawn because if we take the pawn, then the king can, of course, let me see, for example, over here, the king can reach the other pawn, take the other pawn, and control the promotion. Okay, so we can't take the pawn. Uh, we don't want also to take the other pawn. We need to pay attention. If we take the other pawn, of course, now white just simply advances and we will reach a position easy to win for white, like over here. Okay, we are now controlling everything. It's impossible. The king will approach, we take the pawn, and we win easily. So without being able to take, we need to play this one with black. And there's no way for white to force nothing. Because, like, for example, if it comes with the king, we simply take the other pawn. And now white may think, okay, I can advance, yes, but black can control promotion. If I go with the king to support the advancing of the pawn, black is threatening to reach c8. If the king, for example, over here tries to control more ahead, well, the king is threatening to come to c5. So the king needs to come back. And if here, for example, I do this, well, it's impossible to promote. White will need to take care of the remaining black pawn, like, for example, going here, 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 something like this. And now, if you don't know, you should study. This is a draw end game, like, for example, something like this. And okay, it will end in a draw. So without being able to play without knowing these techniques, the correct move is this one. Why this one? Because this is the only one that allows white to recover the opposition. What can black do over here? What is the plan for black? Okay, it comes to b4 again. The idea is to try to grab the c pawn, but now white can recover the opposition. Remember that. So we play, this should have an exclamation mark. We are in a diagonal opposition, so we are able to either reach the a6 pawn and promote, or to guarantee the promotion of the other one. So if black goes to one side, we go to the other side. Let's see, for example, if black keeps trying to avoid making a decision, we just advance the pawn, and you can see black now is in Zugzwang. If it takes the pawn, we simply advance our pawn with tempo, again, this situation. And if here black comes to attack the c pawn, well, we have time to reach the other one. So when black takes this one, we simply go, and we are able to control the promotion, and it's a win for white. Not an easy one. This is the study that makes us sweat, but I wouldn't be able to also just do easy studies for everyone. And if you want to know why some sisters developed so fast and so well in chess from a young age, well, think on this kind of studies that Judit Polgar brought to us, because this is the main core, in my opinion, of the techniques and of the effort they made when they were really young. They solved studies a lot and with precision. Hope you have enjoyed, and see you in future studies. Bye bye.